Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
Oregon is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
Welcome to Duck Insider.
Man, it feels great to be a Duck.
Give it to me, baby. My house. I'm taking it there.
Their competitors, they'll want to put the O on.
Three, got it!
We're going to compete to a standard every day.
The Oregon standard.
Rebound. That's been in. 1 point more to go.
The opportunity to play, put Oregon on your chest, should mean a great deal to you.
Unloads on one into left field, back toward the wall. Gone!
This program is staged to compete and to win championships.
Oregon wins!
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, let's talk Oregon athletics.
We've got a lot coming up on the show today as we continue to talk Oregon volleyball. The Ducks are in action tomorrow. It's going to be here before you know it. Oregon in the Elite Eight of the NCAA tournament. They are against Louisville, the host Louisville. Yeah, it's going to be tough. Was rooting for Baylor yesterday. Didn't happen. That's all right. That's all right. Ducks have a lot of great opportunity in front of them. We're going to talk with Matt Ulmer, some of his thoughts after the big win over Nebraska yesterday. We also will get you ready for Oregon basketball this weekend, some football awards. Ryan Milano is going to join us today. We're going to talk about a number of different things and continue to review that Oregon Athletics Hall of Fame class. All right, before we talk a little bit more in depth on this volleyball team, and they deserve the in-depth conversation, Oregon Football Center Alex Forsyth was announced as a second-team All-American on Friday morning by the Football Writers Association of America. It is Forsyth's first All-American honor after he was named first-team All-Conference by the Pac-12 coaches on Tuesday and second-team All-Pac-12 by the Associated Press on Thursday. Forsyth is the first Duck this season to be named an All-American by one of the 5 organizations that make up the consensus and unanimous All-America teams recognized by the NCAA. Forsyth is also the first Oregon offensive lineman to be recognized as a first or second-team All-American by the Football Writers Association since Panay Sewell was on the first team and Calvin Throckmorton was on the second team in 2019. Congratulations to Alex Forsyth. That is awesome. Love to see it for Alex Forsyth. And, he's a guy who's been through so much in his life and so much even just in his football career here at Oregon. It's awesome to see him get rewarded. And I tell you, Oregon's offensive line is one of the best in the country. We've continued to talk about that all year long. They deserve all the awards they're going to get because this team has been really sticking together in a lot of ways. A lot of ways for this Oregon football offensive line. All right, let's talk a little bit of volleyball. Louisville is the opponent. And this is a good Louisville team. There's a reason that they are the number 1 seed in the bracket that the Ducks are in. How do you beat them? Well, we're going to talk about that a little bit. It's an off day today for Oregon volleyball. That's important. That's really important because the Ducks were kind of in a similar position, actually, in more ways than one, just last year. What do I mean by that? Well, Oregon, the last time they made it to a regional final, an Elite Eight matchup in the NCAA tournament, it was when they beat Minnesota. They had a marathon set against Minnesota as well. The similarities are crazy. Tomorrow at 1 o'clock, Oregon will try to make it to the national semifinals. 1 o'clock on ESPNU, also on KWVA. Student radio station has the call for you as well with Knight Ureski out there in Louisville. Matt Ulmer. After a huge win over Nebraska where the Ducks fought off multiple match points, they got down, they battled back. A very wet Coach Ulmer, by the way, after he got showered by his team with various water bottles in the locker room. Matt Ulmer pretty darn proud of his team after they got a win yesterday and getting ready for a big-time matchup tomorrow.
Just so proud of these guys. I mean, they never give up, ever. And I think you've heard it from them a bunch this year. They never feel like they're going to lose no matter what the circumstances are. They just have total belief in themselves. And Nebraska is so great. They're a really good team. Their defense, that's the toughest defense we played against, not even close. Their block was excellent, and they fought just as equally as hard, I thought, and the end of the fifth showed you. I mean, they were never out of it either. So I thought it was two great teams playing against each other in a really great tournament match, and I'm just so proud of our team.
You got to be proud of what the Ducks did. I mean, especially talking about that marathon set. I mean, the marathon set was really something, but maybe the belief that this team has is worth revisiting, because Oregon's actually been down a few times this year. And they just set a program record for consecutive wins with that victory yesterday, by the way. And it's funny, like when Oregon got down, for example, at home against UCLA, I never felt like they were out of it. Brooke Nuneviller feels that way.
I truly never think this team's going to lose. I mean, when we have a couple match points, we might get a little nervous and tense, but, I mean, we're always going for it. We're always fighting so hard. And so once we won that and we went into the fifth, I just had so much confidence. And this girl freaking goes back there and serves like 8 in a row, so that always helps.
Yeah, that was big. She's talking about Mimi Collier, who was sitting there at the podium as well, who had an excellent, excellent performance, particularly when Brooke Nuneviller, she said after the match that she felt all of the adjustments that were made by Nebraska against her game. Well, it opened up Mimi Collier. Mimi Collier looked like the National Freshman of the Year. She's got to win that award now, right? The Ducks are one of the last 8 teams playing. She's got to be the National Freshman of the Year. Okay, why do I bring that up, though? Mimi Collier playing so well, because that's the easy one to assume, right? If you're an outsider to Oregon volleyball and you're just looking at the stat sheet, if Brooke Nuneviller is getting covered up, if you will, well, Mimi Collier's the one that steps up. Well, it wasn't just Mimi Collier, though. It was also Morgan Lewis. And how about the fact that the Ducks on this stage were able to make an adjustment? They were able to utilize their depth that we've talked about all season long. And that's a big reason why Oregon is never out of a match. It's about the culture of this team. It's about the depth of this team. And it's about the fight in this team, staving off match points. And now they have won 5 straight 5-setters. The last 5 that the Ducks have gone to 5 sets, they've won. And I think it's adjustments like having Morgan Lewis step up in a big way. That's one of many reasons why Oregon's been successful in these 5-setters. Coach Ulmer on Morgan Lewis and a really clutch performance in a Sweet 16 matchup.
Well, I mean, Gloria is much more consistent, and I think against most teams she has a great matchup. But we needed more scoring. I mean, I think generally we've done some different things with our blocking. Like we've scored pretty well all year, so we've had to make some subs for blocking and for defense. But I thought today it was going to be more about we got to find ways to score, and then we got to serve tough. So the serving tough piece we could do over here, but scoring, Morgan's just a little bit more terminal than Gloria. And I thought Hannah did a nice job going to her. Took her a little bit of time to get that trust back. They haven't played a ton together, but I thought Morgan just made some huge plays for us, and that was really important to spread the floor, because it was just really left side dominant early. So to be able to get that, the separation, that was important.
It was important to get the separation. Matt Ulmer, the Oregon volleyball head coach, on Morgan Lewis, and again, I want to revisit that. Like, we've talked all year about the depth. It's one thing to talk about the depth, then it's another thing to see the depth get you a victory in a Sweet 16 matchup. That's kind of what the Ducks were able to do, making that adjustment. That 4th set, though. Okay, if you missed the show yesterday, if you missed the matchup yesterday against Nebraska, the 4th set marathon, I mean, staving off match points. Ducks were down 2-1 at the time. Had multiple opportunities to win the set. Ended up having to win it 32-30. Played some extra volleyball in this one. Had to win it 32-30. And they did that in the exact same scenario of a Sweet 16 matchup against Minnesota the last time Oregon was at this point in the postseason tournament. The similarities are actually pretty eerie.
Was the 4th set the marathon? Were you not thinking Minnesota? So
yeah, it was.
That Sweet 16 game? That 41-39, I was like, we're going to be here all day again. Yeah, I mean, I just think there's so many really there's student athletes out there that they care about this so much, and so it's so hard to beat a team that wants it that bad. And I think Nebraska, they want it really bad, and so did we. And so I think it's just set up to be a really great environment, really great battle, and both teams showed up. I don't think either team probably played their cleanest, but I think it's because the other side makes it that way. But I loved that fight, and that's what we expected.
Those are the best matchups, right? When neither team gives anything, right? You at this point in the tournament, you're not just going to dominate, right? Like, you're probably going to have to, for lack of a better phrase, win ugly sometimes. And I don't think the Ducks even did that. I just think both of these teams were really good yesterday, and it's going to be that way against Louisville. So all these things that went well for Oregon against Nebraska and that have gone well for Oregon over the course of the season, need a lot of those things to go well against Louisville. And the other thing, this is a road matchup. Crowd's been great for the Ducks at Matthew Knight Arena all year long. Went undefeated at home this year. Going on the road is a different story. Oregon's been good on the road. A lot of reasons for that. Matt Ulmer talking about today, the off day, and getting ready for a matchup with Louisville in Louisville.
I'm thankful we have a day off in between, because last time we did this, we didn't. We played Nebraska the next day after beating Minnesota, so I'm excited for that, for the team to be able to enjoy this. Last time we didn't really get to enjoy it. We went right back to the hotel and watched film of Nebraska. Didn't get anything. So I hope today that they enjoy it. It's a great thing. I mean, this is a big deal, to be able to get to this time of year and play against great competition and be able to have success. So I hope they enjoy that today. I will be watching a ton of film on Louisville. We'll be scouting them today, and then we'll get into our game plan tomorrow and have a practice. And I don't know what time the game's going to be on Saturday, but if it's a little bit later, so we'll see. But we'll get ready for Louisville or Baylor, whoever wins that one.
And of course, it's Louisville. 1 o'clock Pacific time. ESPNU, KWVA. Going to be a great matchup. And how about the fact that after beating Minnesota the way that they did with that marathon matchup, the longest point, the longest rally, longest set in the history of Oregon NCAA volleyball, it sure felt that way against Minnesota. And it was actually statistically one of the longest rallies ever that we've seen. So I think that's huge because now Oregon isn't going to be tired. And Louisville took care of business. They won in straight sets against Baylor. But with the off day, I think that's a huge key. And it's an advantage for Oregon compared to last time they were in this position. And you could hear Brooke Nuneviller even sort of like chuckling as Matt Ulmer was talking about that just there. I'm excited to see what this team does. 1 o'clock tomorrow. It's going to be fun. Good luck to Oregon volleyball. When we come back, Ryan Milano is going to join us. We've got, a lot to talk about. And a few things that Ryan doesn't even know he's going to get asked. Back after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy, so we show them how. With honest conversations that let them know what we expect. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be shared with friends or family. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. We all make choices about alcohol. Kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad. Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Hey, remind me about that party again?
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations, and they want honest answers in everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path, because when you talk, they hear you. Learn more at underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, it is Duck Insider presented by On Point Community Credit Union. I'm Joey Mack. He's Ryan Milano. Ryan, nice to see you in this chair, buddy.
Oh, it's great to be here.
We
haven't got our handshake yet, though, so we'll go with
work
the fist
on
bump.
that. Yeah. You know, we'll get there. So, okay, time for introductions and time for some fun. Ryan Milano, you've seen him directing the show. You've seen him running audio. You've also heard him all over the place around Oregon athletics, calling some Oregon volleyball this past weekend on the ESPN Plus stream and on KWVA. He's our OSN broadcast intern extraordinaire. He's also the sports director at the student radio station KWVA. You didn't draw the long straw to head out to Louisville, though, huh? You sent Knight.
Well, I was the voice of the team the last 2 years. It was Knight's time, and I'm happy for him.
But you could have gone.
I could. I would have had to miss this.
That's right. Thank you. We appreciate that. Yeah, this, everybody, Ryan Milano, also going to be the voice of the Oregon softball team coming up in, before you know it, about 2 months, actually. You thought about that? It's like 2 months away.
Oh, I have. I'm excited for it. Once soccer season sort of wraps up, it's a little bit of a lull in terms of Oregon sports for me until softball season, so I've been preparing for softball season.
I love that. I love that. All right, Ryan Milano with us. You know the drill here.
I do.
And you've been practicing.
I have not been practicing. I believe in the integrity of the exercise. So I have not been practicing, but I do hope that I've learned from others' mistakes.
Okay. Interesting. Your 2-minute life story. The 2-minute life story of Ryan Milano. Go.
So I grew up in Phoenix, Arizona. That's where I'm from. And I think that to really understand my thought process, you really have to understand the parents that raised me, because they could not be more different. My dad was someone who was very tough, always striving to be better, always pushing me to work hard. And my mother was someone who held some of those same values, but also is much more nurturing. My mom is a special needs teacher, so a little bit of compassion back and forth. And I like to think that I hopefully got the balance between them, but knowing me, it absolutely wasn't the case. But I grew up playing a lot of youth sports, pretty much everything under the sun: basketball, football, baseball, sabaki ball. I was, sabaki ball was a really fun sport.
Okay.
I probably was the best at that one, but there's no professional sabaki ball leagues out there. But so I always was trying to compete at these sports, but I was never the most talented, never the most athletic. I mean, come on. But I was always just trying to find an edge to keep competing, because I loved sports. I always wanted to be a part of sports. And then once I got into high school, I was trying to find a way where I could really make it a career, make it something that I could do longer term. So I reached out to actually a YouTube channel at the time that was they were a college football YouTube channel. They were looking to start an NFL YouTube channel. So I reached out, I sent an application. I had absolutely no experience. I do not know why they took a shot on me, but they did. And essentially that was my senior year of high school. I took the classes, and after I got home from school, I was doing the YouTube channel every single day. And then getting towards college, obviously University of Oregon was the right choice. There really wasn't another one for me. And I wasn't exactly sure how to break into the industry, because YouTube isn't the industry. It's sort of the same thing, but not really. And I was actually watching the Pat McAfee show, and I don't remember what he said, but something just clicked for me, and it was like, you know what, I can actually do this. So first day, I walk on campus. I go to the Flock Party, which is the club rush around here, find the student radio station, email the student radio station, and now ever since I've been doing stuff for KWVA. I've been the voice of Oregon volleyball, Oregon soccer, Oregon softball, of course. And so I like to think that I know a little bit about the sports at the University of Oregon.
Yeah.
So, and then I got in here, started interning for you. I've done some stuff over at Fox Sports Eugene. I hosted their high school football game day show, their college game day show. And I do some stuff for the Quack Video crew as well, along with being the sports director at KWVA. Time.
2:33.
Oh, it was long.
A little long. Hey, but you're a radio guy.
It's the story of my life.
Yeah, I mean, that's normal. Last time somebody asked me to do it, what did I get? Like 210? I was just over, I think. Yeah, that makes sense.
Every person I've seen in here has gone short, so I wanted to make sure I wasn't going to miss short.
Okay.
But I did miss substantially long.
Yeah, I mean, 30 seconds is, it's a little heavy.
Yeah.
But that's all right. it was good information. I have multiple follow-ups.
You only get one shot at that, though.
How did you get involved with sabaki ball?
Oh, sabaki ball was great. In elementary school, they came to our school, and it is the weirdest sport of all time. Think of it just a weird combination of every sport. So the goal is to hit a football pylon that is resting on essentially like a basketball backboard. And so you can't run with the ball. You have to pass to each other. And the way you score is you have to shoot from outside of this area in which a goalie is standing inside, and you can either bank it off the backboard or hit the pylon head on, but you're trying to knock down a pylon with essentially like a softball-sized volleyball.
Huh. You learn something new every day.
That was probably the sport I was the best at, which,
What'd you play? Like, what's the position? Goalie and everybody else?
Goalie and everyone else.
Oh. That seems.
I was a really good everyone else.
Okay. Yeah, that tracks. Yeah, that tracks. Ryan Milano joining us. So, I'm fascinated by this. They came to your school. Who's they? Like
the sabaki ball organization. It started in Phoenix, Arizona, apparently.
Who knew?
I was part of the inaugural league. Maybe that was part of the reason why I stood out is because, there wasn't enough exposure to it.
And you haven't started the sabaki ball club team here at Oregon yet?
I should have. It's expensive.
The
equipment is expensive.
Is it expensive? I literally have no idea.
I actually looked into buying my own sabaki ball equipment. It's like $500 to get the entire setup.
Oh, okay.
It's a lot for me. I'm a college kid.
New every day from Ryan Milano. All right. Why broadcasting? I mean, you talked about it clicked for you with Pat McAfee, but what about before that? You were just like, this is fun.
Well, you know me, Joey. I went 2 minutes and 33 seconds. I don't stop talking.
So someone along the way said, "Hey, you can talk. You should do this."
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what happened.
It was,
to me.
In class when all the teachers are like, "Oh yeah, no, like Ryan, he's always so engaged in the conversation. You wish you could reel him in a little bit because he just talks too much."
Okay.
It was one of those, and then it was like, you know what? I kind of like talking.
Yeah, there could be a career. There could be a career there. Yeah. Well, it's awesome though for me. I will say for folks that don't know, many of you do at this point. All of the positions that Ryan just ran through, doing volleyball, doing softball, doing soccer, play-by-play, lacrosse. I did all of that when I was a sports director at KWVA, and I love the fact that we can have you and others that are here working with our crew on the Oregon Sports Network and Quack Video, because KWVA does great work, and Ryan has continued what I would say is a very proud tradition. And, maybe case in point, right now here in the studio, we're watching the World Cup, and the voice of the United States broadcast of the World Cup is John Strong, a 2007 graduate who was the sports director at KWVA a few iterations before I was. John graduated in 2007. I graduated in 2014. So thanks for maintaining, I think, a legacy that we're all pretty proud of the journalism and broadcast various walks of the industry across the University of Oregon. So well done, buddy.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well done. What do you think of volleyball? Pretty good, huh?
Oh, man, that was fantastic. I thought yesterday was the single best match for volleyball that I've watched since my time here, and that includes the 35-kill, one-error reverse sweep over Washington back 2 years ago. I really thought it was just such a special performance. I have not seen a team as good as Nebraska that Oregon has played against defensively in terms of both their net defense as well as their floor defense, and I really like the decision that Matt Olber made to go to Morgan Lewis over Gloria Muteri, because Morgan Lewis has been someone throughout her career that has been a little bit streakier, but as Matt Olber mentioned in his post-game press conference, she's a little bit terminal. And so if Nebraska's going to dig out every single attack that you're swinging anyways, why not get someone that could get a little bit more over-aggressive, but they might end up finding the floor? And that's exactly what Morgan Lewis did, and I thought that she had one of the tremendous performances of her career.
Holiday Bowl's coming up as well. Of course, you and the crew always talking about football as well. You going to go to San Diego? What's the plan?
I will be down in San Diego. It should be a good time. Knight Uretsky, Levi Bergthold, Austin Oda joining me for the trip for KWVA.
Great.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
Good. What do you think? Oregon football. North Carolina. I think it's a fun matchup. I think it's a really fun matchup in the Holiday Bowl.
Oh, I really think it's an incredibly fun matchup. And I think that there's going to be a lot of offense. Drake May, the quarterback of UNC, with Oregon and a few of the people that have already declared for the NFL draft, I think that it should be an offensive onslaught. But I think that Oregon is equipped to be that offensive team.
Well, it sure seems that way. It's been that way.
They've done it all year.
Yeah. He's Ryan Milano joining us. I do want to ask you a little bit about softball, just kind of looking ahead, because you said you're already prepping for it.
Already prepping.
What's the prep look like?
Well, right now it's a lot of logistical prep, so I've already submitted all of the stuff for our trips. We're hoping to make every single game this year, which is something that we haven't done in a really long time at the student station. And they made it a little bit easy on us with the schedule, getting us to the West Coast most of the time. There's 3 trips in the non-conference that are down to Southern California, which makes it easy for us. But yeah, that's the prep that we're at right now, and I'm really excited for this team.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun group. If Coach Lombardi's office is just down the hall, and we'll be starting to have her on the show regularly again in January and February because why not? This is going to be a fun team. I'm looking forward to it. So what else should fans know about you?
Well, I do want to say something on softball first beforehand. I do think the foundation of this team sets up Oregon really well for success because of Oregon's play up the middle, and that's their catcher, shortstop, second baseman, and center fielder. I would venture to say that Oregon has probably the most solidified middle defensively in the conference, where you have Tara McGowan, who in half a season last year put up numbers comparative to Pac-12 Player of the Year. Then you have Allie Bunker, Paige Sinicki, who have been a middle infield tandem last year that has been really strong. Yeah. Sinicki seemed like she was on SportsCenter every single week. And Allie Bunker, one of the mainstays of this Oregon lineup, then with Hannah Delgado in center. I think that's a really good, strong up the middle for Oregon.
It was really fun for me when Paige Sinicki and Colby Shade were both in the SportsCenter top 10 the same day.
Yeah.
That was fun for Oregon baseball and for Oregon softball, the Diamond Sports on display. Well, Oscar, what else should fans know? I mean, this is the first time we've had you sit at, it's the first time we've done the 15-minute conversation with you in this chair. What else should fans know?
Well, there's not too much else to know. Life just keeps on moving. The sports just keep on going. We're keeping care of a lot of logistical things over on the KWVA side of things, trying to get things on air, trying to keep them on air. I'm working with Quack Video a lot more now, so I'll be in the control room for both of these weekend games for both men's and women's basketball. But, yeah, life just keeps going. I'm going to be here. You'll see me next week.
I love that. Ryan Milano, our OSN broadcast intern extraordinaire, sports director at KWVA. The business card is long, and the website will be longer. That's a good thing. Nice work, buddy.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for being here. All right, we're going to get time out. When we come back, revisiting the Oregon Athletics Hall of Fame class a little bit and Oregon basketball. Nevada's a good team. I'm actually going through my notes on them right now. Back after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Toyotathon is on and here to help make the holidays magical.
You made it!
By helping you see friends and family both near and far.
Dealer inventory may vary. Toyotathon ends January 3rd. Participating dealers only. Toyota, let's go places.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, our all-inclusive event pricing allows us to take care of all of the details while you enjoy your event. Our wedding garden, expansive grounds, ballroom, and meeting rooms can accommodate any size event and come complete with full catering and service staff. From weddings to business and social events, Shadow Hills offers the benefits of a resort atmosphere and the peace of a country setting just minutes from downtown Eugene. For more details, call us today or go to shadowhillsevents.com.
Toyotathon is on and here to help make the holidays magical.
You made it!
By helping you see friends and family both near and far.
Dealer inventory may vary. Toyotathon ends January 3rd. Participating dealers only. Toyota, let's go places.
You're listening to Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Meet Ed, movie buff, animal lover, safe driver.
5 years of driving an ambulance teaches you a thing or two. If people knew what I know, lives could be saved. When I see a car trying to rush past a turning bus, I get concerned. You see, when big vehicles turn right, they have to swing wide to make the turn. And that's a lesson you don't want to learn the hard way. When trucks and buses turn, let's you and I wait.
It's our roads. It's our safety. Visit www.sharetheroadsafely.gov.
I've been driving trucks for a long time, and safety is my #1 priority. I know that my truck has huge blind spots. That's why I remember to check my mirrors often for smaller vehicles. Everyone can help keep our roads safe. Next time you're behind the wheel, try to avoid lingering in those blind spots. It can be dangerous. Let's all plan to share the road safely. Learn how at www.sharetheroadsafely.gov.
We're back inside the Country Financial Studio. It's Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Our Toyota Women's Sports Schedule Spotlight. You heard us talking about it. Opening segment, Matt Ulmer, Brooke Nuneviller, Mimi Collier, Morgan Lewis, all the rest of the Ducks. They're in action against Louisville on ESPNU. It's a 1 o'clock Pacific time start tomorrow, Saturday. So you can tune in for that. And then Oregon men's basketball plays at 4 o'clock on Saturday. And Oregon women's basketball, this is huge. 4 o'clock on Sunday. It's December 11th, and it's Oregon State. Comes at you quick, doesn't it? Rivalry matchup for Oregon women's basketball, 4 o'clock on Sunday, and Oregon volleyball in action at 1 o'clock on Saturday. Your Toyota Women's Sports Schedule Spotlight. Toyota, let's go places. Now, the Nevada Wolfpack, fourth-year head coach Steve Alford. Remember, former UCLA head coach is the Nevada head coach. And talking about Oregon State, Nevada has a transfer named Jared Lucas from Oregon State. One of the best players on this Nevada team that has transfers from Seton Hall, OSU, FAU, Eastern Washington, and Texas. Number of different impact transfers for Nevada. And Nevada comes in with 9 wins. They're a good team. This is going to be a tough matchup, I think, for Oregon men's basketball. Ducks hoping to get a little bit healthier. Shoot around tomorrow. I'll talk with Dana Altman, and we'll have some more updates on the health of this team. Now, talking about basketball now, transitioning to basketball in the past. This year, Ernie Kent was inducted into the Oregon Athletics Hall of Fame. Tremendous player, tremendous coach in an Oregon uniform and in a suit and tie. Now, of course, a broadcast extraordinaire himself. And Coach Kent, it was awesome getting a chance to catch up with him, and we haven't had the chance any time on the show until now to play our little Q&A between myself, Jerry Allen, and Coach Kent, inducted into the Hall of Fame this year.
Congratulations, Ernie, on this honor. I want to start with your life a little bit. Rockford, Illinois, home, that's where you grew up. Tell us a little bit about that and how you got into sports.
Well, Rockford is an environment to where you're either going to get into sports or you're going to go into the streets and do something else, and I chose sports. And being from a family of 10, my mom had 7 straight boys and then 3 girls, and I still can't figure out why and how they would do that. And being uneducated parents, they did an outstanding job because all of us in one form or another are very successful at what we do, and that's a credit to Mom and Dad to do that.
Take us back to why you chose Oregon originally.
Oof. You know, I was recruited by everybody in the country, and I'll never forget my visit here. It was raining, and I went into Mac Court at the time, and I saw a practice there. And Bruce Coldrum, who just recently passed away, was running 17 times across the floor, and Dick Harder had a bucket on each side of the floor, and he would throw up at the end of each one and run again. And I'm sitting up there as a student athlete saying, do I really want to do this? And then I met the guys. And from a family of 10, I wouldn't say we were really, really close at the time, so I'd never been in an environment where we had that warm, fuzzy feeling inside that I had around those guys. And I canceled all my other visits. And of course, you could go on as many visits as you want back in those days, and I had 25 of them set up. And after the 5th one, I canceled and said, I'm coming to Oregon, because I fell in love with the mountains, the ocean. They took me up the McKenzie River and scooped the river water and said, here, drink this. I remember going back to my hotel and calling my dad and say, Dad, they drink the river water out there. So I fell in love with Oregon early on.
You went from playing, and you had a great career. Just a real quick, memories of playing for Dick Harder. I mean, he was a tough coach.
You know, he was an extremely tough coach. He was an ex-Marine sergeant, and very similar to Bobby Knight. And you can't coach that way in this day and age. And probably the more memorable things where we would carry bricks in practice. You do defensive slides with a brick in each hand, and we set the record at 40 minutes of doing defensive slides with the brick in each hand. And obviously we'd climb the ropes and do all those types of things. But he was tough and very, very tough on us. But the one thing about Coach Harder, again, he taught you how hard you had to work to be successful in your life. And I'm so grateful for that, as several of my teammates as well, too.
You know, I'm curious, after having success as a player, playing for Coach Harder, what goes through your mind when it's like, I'm going to be the head coach now?
Well, you know, coaching kind of came about when my game said yes and my body said no, because my knees gave way and there was no NBA career. And I said, okay, I'm going to coach. And Oregon was always my dream job, and I remember telling teammates when we walked across that stage and back in '77 graduating, I said, I'm going to come here and coach one day. Little did I know that it would take me 20 years. 7 of those years were in Saudi Arabia in a Shiite Muslim village where all 3 of my kids were born overseas in Saudi Arabia before I had an opportunity to come back and get my dream job and coach at the University of Oregon. So it was something I set out to do. I wanted to do it. It was very important to me. And I had all those fond memories, obviously, of Mac Court and what a great community this was.
You talked about the 3 children being born in Saudi Arabia. Talk about them a little bit. I mean, they're all out there at the table. It's so great to see them. They're growing up.
They have grown up, and it's amazing because there's 5 grandkids over there, all 5 and under, and I'm just impressed how nice and calm they are right now. But I love being around my kids and my grandkids because I see how great parents they are and their spouses. It's just unbelievable. And I see their mom, the things that she instilled in them, it's in all 3 of them as their parent. So it was nice to be around them. It's nice to have them here now. They've just been outstanding. Really proud of them. That's cool.
As a coach, we could ask you about favorite memories, and I feel like you could probably unfurl a scroll and give us a bunch of them. But can you highlight some for us, favorite memories as a coach?
Well, probably it was winning Oregon's first Pac-10 championship, because you got to remember, I played in this conference when it was the Pac-8. And I coached in it when it was the Pac-10, coached in it and announced in it when it was the Pac-12. So going back and winning that first championship, we won it in LA on the road. We had to beat USC and UCLA. And there were 6 teams that could have won the conference championship in the last 4 weeks of the season. And I'll never forget watching Luke Jackson and them celebrate on that floor. And then that next morning, I was kind of walking around the corner, and there was Ron Bellamy walking towards me, and we both just smiled and hugged each other because we knew the significance of winning that first conference championship for men's basketball.
You got that at point, and you continued on, not only in coaching, but broadcasting. I mean, I always thought you had a wonderful voice for that and a talent for it. Talk a little bit about how you got into the broadcasting career going from coaching.
Well, literally, I got in the broadcasting career after my senior year at Oregon. I was Dick Harder's graduate assistant, and I worked for KWVA TV and helped do some of the commentary for the games. That kind of got my feet wet in it. And then once my coaching career was over, Fox called and said, would you come? ESPN flew me back out and interviewed me in Bristol. And I didn't want to make that move, but the Pac-12 and Fox seemed normal and natural to do at the time. So I enjoyed it. I enjoy having an opportunity to explain the game to people and break it down in a simplicity that people can understand it. And so far, it's worked well.
You hit on some of it, but we always like to ask at an event like this, just who you want to thank, who helped you get here.
Can I bring out my list?
Sure.
I could probably sit up here a long time and talk about a lot of people because 25, 30 years of your life have been in Eugene, but there have been some tremendous families that have been good for so many athletes here. The Gagne family, the Swartz family, the Murphy family, and then you talk about the Montgomery family, and I could go on and on because not only did you have an education in the classroom, sitting at those dinner tables, it was like an education within an education because you had a great opportunity to learn about corporate America being around those families. Marie Jones and Aaron Jones, being with them and having the team up to their house, and Aaron has since passed away, but he's on my heart often, but they were just tremendous people for us as well, too. And then Lyle Valor, who's here tonight, Judge Valor, gave me an opportunity with just great guidance on his part. Dr. Collis and Jeannie. Denny was just a tremendous friend of mine as well and did so many good things for me. And there's a lot of 50-year relationship. 50 years. Stu Jackson, my roommate in college, I can't believe he's that old. Robbie Kloss, another former teammate that was with us. Mickey Fern, who was our liaison between Dick Harder and the basketball team, and we certainly need that. And then Pastor Keefe. I mean, we had a championship here that went to the Elite Eight. And people don't understand the Bible study that he would do every morning with different guys on that team. He gave a calm to that team that I've never seen before within a basketball team, and I'm real grateful for that as well, too. And then Greg Graham, who was on my staff at Oregon, another former teammate. His wife, in fact, we were sitting around one evening, we wanted to get the students more involved in our program, and she was the one that came up with the name, the Pit Crew. Let's call them the Pit Crew, and those students did a tremendous job. Matt Court ended up being voted top 10 all-time ever, toughest places to play, and we won a lot of basketball games because of that energy in there. And then Lynn Merritt, who's here, Phil and Penny have done so much for the university and all their generous contributions and everything else. But there are people at Nike also that we as coaches are really, really connected to. And Len is another one of those guys that'll be a brother for life. We're joined at the hip with each other and have a tremendous amount of respect for him as well, too. So I'm sure I'm probably missing some people. But I would like to comment on my family that's here as well. I've got my brother Jimmy and his wife Margaret from Detroit, my sister Diane from Rockford, Illinois, my sister Peggy and her daughter Jada from Tacoma, and my sister Naomi from Scottsdale, where I live as well, too. They've been so supportive for me as well, too.
Well, I hope that what's next for you will include broadcasting, because you do a tremendous job of it. But I know there's something else that's near and dear to your heart that you're a part of now, and I hope you'll explain it.
Well, before I get to that, I want to really talk about Bill Moose, too, because none of this would be possible for me if Bill had not had the confidence in me to hire me. When he interviewed me down in San Francisco, I think he had a 2-hour block of time to get in and out, and we spent 6 hours talking about life, family, everything. Little about basketball, a lot about everything else, and he's a wonderful addition to the university and did a great job of guiding us. So people often ask, what are you going to do? You're going to get back into coaching, and probably not. I love broadcasting. It's something I like to do, but I have another dear friend here, Dr. Dwayne McIntosh is here, and him and I have known each other for just over the last year now down in Scottsdale, Arizona, and our connection is that we are both prostate cancer survivors. And as you know, we lost Dave Fromeyer. We lost Greg Ballard, one of my teammates as well, too. And it's kind of been my mission in life to educate as many men as possible to understand that this is not a disease you need to die from. All you need to do is detect it early. So we have partnered down in Scottsdale with the Mayo Clinic. They've given me and Dwayne 2 doctors, 3 nurses, and 150 free blood draws. And we've gone down into the communities, and particularly the African-American communities. For some reason, it affects us more than any other race. We die probably twice as much as any other race. And we're going through churches because they have built-in men's groups at all of these churches. And there's 2 prominently dominated African-American churches down in Scottsdale. We're going to take that team down there and test as many men who want to get tested for their PSA tests and hopefully save some lives. We'll start it on a small scale. Arizona is my training ground, but I'd hope to one day take this nationally and do this. So it's kind of a mission. It's kind of another calling for me in life right now.
Isn't that amazing what Coach Kent's doing? That was from our conversation at the Hall of Fame induction ceremony, and you can just hear it in his voice still. So passionate about it, passionate about broadcast, passionate about everything that he does. That's why he was so successful, an Oregon Athletics Hall of Famer. Pretty fun catching up with Ernie Kent. When we come back, Breanne Tyson-Eaton. Jerry did ask for her autograph. We're back after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
This is Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
I found hope in the midst of an overwhelming situation.
Alcoholism is a disease that can affect any family. Everyone suffers, but there is help and hope at Al-Anon Family Groups.
Al-Anon gave me my life back. I'm a better father and husband.
Are you in an overwhelming situation because of someone else's drinking? Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Local and virtual meetings are available. Maybe one could work for you. Call 1-866-200-0033 or visit alanon.org/hope.
Medicaid and CHIP offer free or low-cost health coverage for children and teens. Hospital and doctor visits, prescriptions, shots, and more are covered. That's peace of mind for parents if a child is sick or gets injured. And parents may now be eligible for Medicaid too, even if they've applied in the past. Enrollment is always open. Visit insurekidsnow.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, Joey Mack here with you. It's Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Continuing recognizing this Hall of Fame class that was inducted this past year. Just heard a little bit from Coach Kent. We've heard from now pretty much everybody. And Brianne Tyson-Eaton. It was really amazing in back-to-back years to see Ashton Eaton inducted into the Oregon Athletics Hall of Fame, to see one of the teams that Brianne Tyson-Eaton was on. And we actually talked with Brianne at the previous year's Hall of Fame induction ceremony about one of the teams that she was on. She represented the team up there on stage. And that's actually where we started this conversation with Brianne Tyson-Eaton, inducted this time in 2022 as an individual into the Oregon Athletics Hall of Fame. Jerry and I up on stage with Brianne Tyson-Eaton.
Would it be embarrassing if I asked you for an autograph?
No, my aunt actually kept track, and she had said she has something like 157 autographs, so I'll happily give you one.
Okay.
You're 158.
Wow, that's special.
That's great. You know, Brianne, you and I did this up on stage when you represented your team just a few months ago when the indoor team was inducted into the Hall of Fame last year. And I was thinking about that heading into talking to you as an individual, because when you're representing the team, every answer that you gave was all about your team. And now we're inducting you as an individual. And I caught myself thinking, I feel like you're going to answer a lot of things by thanking a team again, aren't you? I mean, it's so important to you. I feel like you're just the ultimate team player.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the reason for my success at Oregon was because of the team. That group of women that came in here, I think we all used each other to just sort of like as motivation and fed off one another. And if one person had a good performance, then it was like this waterfall effect of performances. And I think all of us so badly wanted to win Pac-10 championships and NCAA championships. And so it was all about the team, but the result was individual performances.
Now, you grew up in Canada, and you continued throughout your career to represent your country. How special is that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously growing up in Canada was amazing, and I was so happy to represent them. And I think, coming here and being I wasn't the only Canadian on the track team. I mean, I think during my time there was at least 2 others. So having that special opportunity to share what is Oregon track and field and the history of it with other Canadians, both when I was competing and in the past, was an honor too.
So many accomplishments. What sticks out in your mind when you look back on your own career? What are you most proud of?
I mean, I'm going to go back to a team accomplishment. I think the biggest one was the biggest NCAA title that I was proud of was the women's 4x4 relay. Just got thrown into the mix sort of at the last minute. Had to run the leadoff leg, was totally terrified, didn't train at all, didn't even know. I mean, I think they put me as the first leg because I didn't know how to receive a handoff. Like, we had no practice. So to be able to run that relay with a group of like the 3 other women that I did, and for us to win an NCAA title at home was I think it was one of the highlights of my entire career, even professionally as well.
It's not fair to not ask you about the people in your life who helped you get to where you got to and where you are today, starting with family.
Yeah. Well, I literally wouldn't be on this stage without my mom and dad. They just made a huge commitment, just time-wise, financially, when I was in high school, buying me a car, driving me into a bigger city to be able to train with the track club there. In Canada, if you don't belong to like a club, the high school track season is like 1 week long. So it's not, it isn't really something that you could excel at unless you joined a club team. So they helped me do that. My dad was calling colleges, sending like video, like recruiting video to coaches, and sent one to Oregon. I think that's ultimately a big reason why I ended up here. So thank you to both my mom and dad for all their support, and I literally wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for them. And then my coaches, once I got to Oregon, I had 3 amazing coaches. I started with Kelly Blair my freshman year, and then Dan Steele, and then Harry Mara, who is here tonight, which is really exciting because I didn't know he was coming, was my coach for my last 3 years, and each was just phenomenal in helping me get to where I am. Harry especially, just understanding that my bigger goals, after Oregon were Olympics and World Championships, and just really, helping me get there. And then, of course, my husband, Ashton, who I got to train with, that was really special because I think as an athlete, you can have a coach who is watching what you're doing and is trying to tell you how to do something different, but having a teammate and a training partner who truly has your best interest at heart because you're married to them and they want to see you succeed, being able to train with him and him be able to do the same event I do, and if I was struggling, he would say something like, Brianne, why don't you try to mimic this feeling? Like when I do it and it feels good, I feel a lot of pressure on my left foot. Try to mimic that. And I just felt like it was such an advantage for me because I was an athlete who got to try to replicate a feeling rather than a look that a coach was trying to tell me to do. So, I just felt like it was a huge advantage, and being able to share all these memories with him was really special.
Where did your passion for track and field originate? Where did it come from?
Well, in high school, people used to ask if I wanted to go to the Olympics, and I was like, no, that's too much work. That's literally what I said. I thought there's no way I would ever want to do this. But then I got here, and coming from Canada, we don't have these kinds of facilities. We don't have thousands of people that show up to a track meet. And so when I got here, and I felt this energy of track town in Eugene and all these teammates who their goals were to go to the Olympics, I think it just grew from that, and from being around this environment that I obviously wasn't around growing up in Canada, and I think that's where kind of the motivation and the passion really stem from.
We often talk to football players about the experience of running down the tunnel and coming out of Autzen Stadium. You got to perform at Hayward Field before thousands of fans in a roar, and have you ever been able to find the words to explain the emotion and what that was like?
Well, I think the tunnel, running out on the football field, it's that's laps and laps and laps and laps around Hayward. I mean, it's I ran an 800 and it would be the whole time you would feel that. You could hear people yelling your name. I mean, it was very intimate. And especially being a Duck, the city, the town here, everybody knows you. You're in the grocery store, they know who you are. So it feels like family that is there cheering for you, like thousands of family members.
So cool to hear that from Brianne Tyson-Eaton. Our conversation up on stage, that was awesome just to revisit some of those memories with her. You heard a little bit from Coach Kent there. We've tried to sprinkle them in for you throughout this week as we've had a little bit of time. But now it's time to get ready for some basketball, time to get ready for the Holiday Bowl, and, of course, some Oregon volleyball. This is a busy weekend schedule for the Ducks. A lot going on. I'll tell you all about it when we wrap up the show next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey, Duck fans! Jackson's is a proud sponsor of Oregon football. And this holiday season, we have the perfect stocking stuffer for the Duck fan in your family. Oregon football trading cards. The cards will feature your favorite Duck football student athletes, so collect them all to complete your set. Be on the lookout for these cards coming soon exclusively to your local Oregon Jackson's food stores. Visit jacksons.com for store locations.
Jackson's. Let's go.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, our all-inclusive event pricing allows us to take care of all of the details while you enjoy your event. Our wedding garden, expansive grounds, ballroom, and meeting rooms can accommodate any size event and come complete with full catering and service staff. From weddings to business and social events, Shadow Hills offers the benefits of a resort atmosphere and the peace of a country setting just minutes from downtown Eugene. For more details, call us today or go to shadowhillsevents.com.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
The United States Deputy Sheriff's Association is a national nonprofit and the largest non-governmental provider of services to law enforcement. The USDSA assists city, county, state, and federal agencies with free safety equipment donations and officer survival training, along with cash donations to families of law enforcement officers who perish in the line of duty, college scholarships for the children of law enforcement, a citizen awareness program, and more. For more information on the USDSA and how you can help, visit usdeputy.org.
You're never completely ready to adopt a teen.
For late nights writing English papers.
For your teen's music taste.
For dinners, where they talk more on their phone than with you.
For the first time, they call you Mom.
You're never completely ready to adopt a teen, and you can't imagine the reward.
To learn more about adopting a teen, visit adoptuskids.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
We're back inside the Country Financial Studio. It's Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here with you. Thanks again for being with us, hearing from Coach Ulmer. Ryan Milano on the show today. Well done, Ryan. Well done. Looking forward to having you back for, next week, but then, of course, next term as well. Looking forward to that. Voice of Oregon softball coming up here starting in the month of February. And then, of course, Coach Kent and Brianne Tyson-Eaton. Just great stuff from the Hall of Fame induction ceremony. So on Monday's show, we're going to have a lot to cover, including Oregon volleyball. The 1 o'clock start time, Pacific time, that is, for Oregon volleyball tomorrow. Televised on ESPNU. They're matching up with Louisville in Louisville at the Yum Center. That's an advantage, no doubt about it. But this is an Oregon team that I think is really made for anything. One of the last 8 teams playing. That's a big deal. And they are not content with that. They want to be in the national semifinals and the national finals that'll be played next week in Omaha. This is going to be I feel like big moment for the Ducks in so many different ways because, one, Mimi Collier, this tournament's kind of the coming out party for her as a freshman. But then, two, Brooke Nuneviller, I'm not ready to see Brooke Nuneviller's last match for Oregon. I'm not ready to see her last set in an Oregon uniform. So keep on winning, huh? Knight Ureski's out there for KWVA. He's got the call on local radio on the student radio station as well. This is going to be a fun matchup. Also, 4 o'clock, Saturday, Oregon men's basketball against Nevada. Tough test for the Ducks. Tough test at Matthew Knight Arena. And then it's rivalry week. Kelly Graves is actually meeting with the media after practice this afternoon. You can head to the Go Ducks YouTube for that to get your preview of the 4 o'clock start time with Terry Johns on the call on Sunday. Busy weekend. See you on Monday, recapping it all.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. He sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself.
For many military veteran caregivers, their caregiving journey starts earlier in life and lasts longer. Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veteran